Now, here you have got M capital, and here you have got A capital. What our dear friends have done is they have made M small and A big. Does he put mute capital in French?
No, A small,
Strange.
He
He didn't put mute capital, he put alone.
A capital means he is going by that text.
It's
He is going by that.
pronunciation. But I understand here the alone adjective.
Yeah.
It's a mute who is the noun.
Yeah.
And down.
Now it's an adjective.
Noun is a noun.
It's a noun. Alone is a noun, and mute has become an adjective in your conversion.
The mute is adjective here?
No. What you have made is an adjective. You have changed this mute as a noun into an adjective. Now you see, if you now you read again, only the mute alone. See?
They copied from the alone below.
Yeah. If you read with that, again that mantric effect is totally gone.
It's totally gone.
Only the mute alone can ever be. The force has to come on mute.
This will be while translating from one language to the other.
Yeah.
And that meter also will change.
Well, the meter, that depends upon the language. But
What a mistake. How can they do this?
that is why it is very difficult to translate mantric poetry into another language.
No, but this is not mantric, capital in
This
small
line is absolutely mantric. Only the mute alone. This is not. That is
How
not.
did they make it
They are removed mantra.
No, but if he has mute in the original and alone small and mute capital, how can that change it?
Yeah, but we'll see just a minute. Yeah, we'll see. Okay. See, what I'm trying to say is this one. My dear old friend, Udar, he goes all around here and there and says, what the revised edition has done is to restore the mantra of Savitri. The mantra of Udar Pinto.
73 has restored the mantric Savitri.
He says the revised edition has restored the mantra. By correction, by revisions, what was spoiled by these people has been restored as a mantra. But here is an example in which the mantra has been smashed, has been killed completely. He has given a talk in Auroville itself, Udar.
Really? About this?
Yes, on this. Yeah. See, that is how. So don't trust what people say. Go by your own instinct, by your own inner perceptions. You see. Only the mute alone can ever be. So, mute has become small, A has become big, and it has managed to destroy the mantra.
That's what you say, no? Capital letter doesn't change the mantric effect.
No, the way you enunciate it.
Yeah.
The way you enunciate it, you see, the mantra is in the sound.
Yes, so we wait according to the capital.
Yeah. Now, this mute alone and this alone, this A is capital here. Now, obviously, in the alone, who is alone? The mute. This alone here is the mute.
Yeah, it's obvious.
Obviously, you see. So, actually, therefore, there are two different things. Now, what My very respectable, dear friend Amal has done in 1972. The centenary edition is, he has changed M to small m and made this A big. This, he has done it, it's there in the,
Under what pretext?
that we see.
What is the explanation?
He has done it in 1972. Perhaps his argument was, look, here it is A capital. How can A be small here?
Oh.
But would not have thought of
But they are two different alones. He corrected Shivandu many times in many places. Not only he has corrected, he says Shivandu has made slips, Shivandu has forgotten his own philosophy. Well, he has said many things like that, you see. So don't trust Udar or Amal or anybody, even Deshpande. Go entirely by your own instincts. Now, therefore, this mute has become small and A has become big in the revised edition as per the 1972 editing of Amal. Beyond that, there is no basis to change these two lines into what we have. Here is a basis that has not been disclosed, that has not been given to us. Here is the basis for changing. But I think these are very powerful lines, very meaningful, very purposeful lines. See, in the very first line, it was the hour before the gods awake. Shivandu wrote something like 30-40 drafts of that line. In the 25th draft of that line, he made it was the hour before the gods G, from small to capital G. All along before that, it was always small g, small g, small g. But in the 25th draft, suddenly you find that G has become capital G. It was the hour before the gods. In other words, Shivandu was paying special attention to every detail which had kind of a connection with his spiritual vision and spiritual realizations. Why small g has become capital G? Because he's talking of it was the hour before the gods. Who are these gods? Not the universal gods, not the overmind gods. They are the transcendental gods, the supramental gods. Before they came into action, before they got activated in the process of this creation, the transcendental powers, before they started operating, what was happening? It is that which is described in the first line. It was the hour before the gods awake. Yes, before the transcendental gods came into existence in terms of the powers of manifestation. What was happening? It is that is what is now described in capital G, not this overmind gods. So he is purposely, with meaning, with intention, is capitalizing or removing the capitalization at times. This mute must have some purpose in the same manner. It is not there for nothing. My feeling that Amal made this alone because he got deceived by this alone. Without realizing that this alone is nothing but this mute. It is a noun, it is a noun. You see, in one place this is an adjective, in the other place now he has made a noun. You see, assume for a minute that this mute is not there. Only the alone can ever be.
Especially now you repeat it 20 times, so
Yeah.
we are used to the mute.
Yeah. Can ever be. Of course, in that case, the line will be limping. It will be short of a foot, short of a half foot, you see. But that can be provided by some other method, you see. There is no difficulty about that. You see. The line can be reconstructed if you remove the mute. Mute is not to fulfill the metrical demands. That for the sake of meter, to make the line perfectly pentametric, you need an extra syllable. It is not that extra syllable which is being supplied by mute. Mute has its own purpose. I can supply that extra syllable by saying something. For instance, I can say, only the mute alone can ever be there. For the sake of meter, I am saying. Only the alone can ever be there. Metrically, the demand is satisfied. But then you had taken away, robbed the line of its mantra. Totally. Mute is the most just. It is irreplaceable. What is this line trying to convey? Only the mute alone can ever be. This line, from the point of view of substance, is a summary of these 4 lines. You see, he has put a colon here. What these 4 lines say, all here emerges bound from nothingness. Everything has come from the void. It will collapse, go back into the void. The void is hungry. Void is also the source of creation. And void is also the devourer of creation. So what remains finally? Only the void. The mute. The mute. What remains finally? Only the mute. Because everything has gone alone. And that mute is the nothingness, is the not, is the void. Only the mute. So for him, well, that is the source of everything. Mute, void. Everything has come up from that thing. So this is an argument from death, which is perfectly understandable. He says everything has come from the void, from the nothingness, it will collapse into the nothingness. What will remain then finally? The void alone. Void which is not expressing itself in any way. Therefore mute. So I will identify this mute with this nothingness, with this parent not. And it sounds very logical from the point of view of his argument. And therefore he has now disentangled from that previous description and summarizing in a single line sentence, in the alone there is no room for love. There is no room. Alone, in that mute, in that void, in that nothingness, where is the room for love? You are talking of love. How can it exist in that nothingness? How can it exist for nothingness, you see? He is carrying his, buttressing his argument by this powerful line again, in the alone. He was talking of here mute in the context of all these things. Here, what remains is alone, that nothingness alone, that void alone, that not alone. That's all. Therefore, in vain to clothe love's perishable mud. So that is our body, that is our fate, that is our perishable mud. In vain to clothe love's perishable mud. Thou hast woven on the immortal's borrowed loom the ideal's gorgeous and unfading robe. See, he is carrying his rhetoric very powerfully further. And see again, you see the change of meter, variation. In vain to clothe love's perishable mud. In vain is an am. To clothe is an am. Short, long, short, long. Love's perishable. Both are strong syllables. Long, long. Spondy. Shable mud. Pyrrhic. So you have got here to clothe love's perishable mud. So as if the spondy is giving a force to the quality of mud, which is perishable. Means that spondy here in between emphasizes the poor quality of your existence. Very forcefully, you see. In vain to clothe love's perishable mud. You have got here 3 short syllables. Perishable, that is Pyrrhic, and able mud, and again am. In vain to clothe love's perishable mud, thou hast woven. Well, in fact, I should read this thing. Thou hast woven. Thou hast woven. It should be read like that. It's an anapest. Thou hast woven on. That is a Pyrrhic, short, woven. See, the modulation is there constantly in the whole speech. So this, as I told you, this fellow has really learned the whole of his English in Cambridge. And he knows how to modulate it, you see. Thou hast woven the mortal's borrowed loom, the ideal's gorgeous and unfading robe. The ideal never yet was real made. Yes, you are trying to weave a cloth on a perishable loom and all that thing. But how can the ideal become real? You are talking of in this creation, bringing down the ideal world here. Forget. It can never become real here, you see. So that is actually the entire summarization of Yama's character. He is the denier. All your great ideals, great thoughts, great spiritual objectives, they can never become real here. You want to bring down the powers of the spirit here in this creation? Nonsense. Not possible. This is my argument. You cannot. Forget that. You change your philosophy, your mind. Imprisoned in form, that glory cannot live. That glory, the real. The real cannot live when it is imprisoned. That is of course true. So he is talking both, you see. That is of course true. Imprisoned in form, that glory cannot live. Into a body, shut, it breathes no more. When it is trapped in a body, that glory cannot breathe freely. Cannot breathe freely, you see. Intangible, remote, forever pure, so that real, etc., is always be a sovereign of its own brilliant void. Unwillingly, it descends to earthly air to inhabit a white temple in man's heart. In his heart, it shines rejected by his life. It comes, but then finally what happens? Rejected by his life. Intangible. It is that glory, that ideal is intangible. It is very far away. It is always pure up there, but the moment it enters in the body, it loses its purity. A sovereign of its own brilliant void, because void, it is nothing there as far as concerned. Unwillingly it descends to earthly air. You are pulling it down. Well, it tries to come down also because you are pulling it down. To inhabit a white temple. See, to white temple, see, what a beautiful phrase, you see, white temple, most original. You have marble temples, you have got this temple, that temple, but white temple, no. To inhabit a white temple in man's heart. In his heart, it shines rejected by his life. In other words, his heart is not white enough. Is not white enough. Is not pure enough here. That is the tragedy of this glory. Because it remains rejected in life, that glory. The necessity is for that glory herself to take mortal birth. The divine goddess, she wanted to come to earth, but then she found that the place is not ready for her tread, for her to walk. She walked back. She walked back. She found that the place is not ready enough. It happened. She went back. When she found that the place is not ready, this is what I am talking of, what we have in the symbol dawn, in the first canto, the first section. The divine glory wanted to come here and do miracles, this thing, that thing, and all that thing, but then she felt that perhaps I cannot do work here anymore, and she goes back. And then there was the common light of the earthly day, that is what we saw last time. The common light, she went back and there was only the common light of the earthly day. When there was only the common light, then it became necessary for Savitri to take the mortal birth. It became necessary for Savitri to take the mortal birth. And she heard a call from the Supreme. And she came back here, she came here, she plunged into this creation. A brilliant summoner's chant, she heard the brilliant summoner's chant. Summoner, he is giving her a call, the Supreme himself. Savitri, now the only thing is for you to go to the earth, take mortal birth, and through the mortal birth, raise this creation up. In his heart, it shines, rejected by his life. Because it is rejected, therefore, there was only the common light of the day.